Leaves are falling every day, and kings are rising just the same.
Good evening and welcome to KINGZ with Kosine right here on Fox Soul. We have a very important topic to talk about today, and that is our money, our coins, el dinero. I am your host, Marcos Enrique Palacios, aka Kosine. And today I want to call this opening Story Time with Kosine. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here's my story. My first introduction to money was through my inheritance from my mother passing away. So I definitely didn't respect it or value it. All I thought about was how I would give back every penny with interest just to get another hug from my mama or at least one more of those Panamanian delicacies. Oh, her cooking was out of this galaxy. I made sure I gave money to my family. And I was also, very generous with my friends. If anything, I used money to hide myself from the world so people wouldn't feel sorry for me or even see how broken I was. Then I noticed I was running out of money. So I did 3 smart things with the last of it, right? I paid off her house. I paid for my bachelor's degree from Columbia College, Chicago. And I bought a home studio and turned my basement bathroom into a recording booth. Those were the smart decisions I made, but I also tricked off a gang of the money on trying to stay fashionable and being in the drip. You know what I'm saying? I even bought a dumb pencil chain, my intern's logo. Don't judge me. And it's crazy because we'll run out, we'll buy the latest Jordans, but we don't own no stock in Nike. To be fair, like most of the young dudes out here, I didn't know about stocks, bonds, real estate investments. So that's what we're talking about today. If you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comment section. And yeah, let's get into it because every week I try to go out of my way with my team to invite guests who know more about the topic than I do. So I'm here just like you to learn and to grow. When I thought about this season, I knew at the end of this season, I would be a better man. And so here we are tonight. Let me introduce this panel because this is a epic panel to say the least. First, we have Mr. Shark Tank himself. He first burst onto the scene when he created the hugely popular clothing brand FUBU, which I had on in my senior pictures when I graduated. I had on that '05 FUBU jersey. You already know. He's a best-selling author of the book Power Shift. Give it up for Daymond John.
Thank you.
How you feeling, Chief?
It's amazing to be here. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Next up is my British brother, by way of Ghana, who played in the NBA for 10 years, moving to the front office, where he's helped players in the league navigate their newfound money and success. Basically, he's helping players not go broke. His name is Pops Mensah-Bonsu. Welcome, my brother.
Thank you for having me, Coach. How's it going?
Oh, feeling good, feeling great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this guy right here, he needs no introduction. If you're in the New York area, you hear him every morning on the Breakfast Club, which I'll be doing my interview shortly soon. He don't know about this. That's neither here nor there, but that's not all he does. This brother is out here teaching your favorite rappers how to invest in real estate. DJ Envy, how you feeling tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. And finally, I can't even tell you how much respect I have for this man. He took the bare minimum and created not just a record label, but a whole sound that we're still rocking to this day. To this day, it's the Colonel of the Tank, man. The Colonel of the Tank. Please help me welcome the OG, Master P. How you feeling, Chief?
What's up, my brother? I feel good, man. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
This is about to be a master class.
Yes.
Each of you had to overcome obstacles, to basically take little resources and turn it into wealth. So, fellas, how did you get through the ceiling, man? How did you become in that small percentile, of brothers that were able to figure it out? I start right with you, Chief, Master P.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to celebrate everybody that's on this panel because that's something we don't do. And
Yes,
it's not about checking for each other pockets, what we don't have, what we do have. God has blessed all of us to be able to survive and be here today. So it's a blessing. I think the most important thing in life, I grew up in New Orleans, I grew up in a hurricane town, and I realized that you could have a lot one day, it'll wash it away. You got to start over. My thing is, don't be afraid to fail, don't be afraid to start over, and don't be afraid to keep going. There's no limit to your success when you're committed and you're dedicated to what you believe in and you're passionate about it. Never judge a book by its cover, because somebody could be in the projects one day and they could be in the mansion the next day. So I've always diversified my portfolio. I mean, just like Daymond, like, you know, you said he started with FUBU and create all these other different avenues of wealth. And that's what my life has been about. Even though I sold 100 million records, I realized that my life is not just about to be about that, because you could be a star one day and the next day nobody be checking for you. So I got into the clothing, I got into the shoes, I got into packaged food goods. And that's why my life is successful today, because I'm not sitting around waiting on nobody. I get up and go get it. My grind is real. I tell people all the time, everybody got 24 hours. You're not going to be mad with nobody if you're doing what you got to do with yours. So
powerful.
This is definitely a blessed day, man, for us as Black men to be on here and to be able to have this conversation, because we think we know, but the most successful people admit that they don't know everything. That's what success is about, because technology is changing every day, even education. I tell people I don't pray for money, I pray for wisdom. And the more knowledge you have, I got $1 billion worth of knowledge, so I'm not going to lose. Maybe I might fail a couple of times, but guess what? Failure is the real key to success. You know, I mean, everybody on here could probably admit to this. They done failed that something so many times, but that one time you hit it. You never.
I want to hear a little bit about that. Daymond, jump in real quick, man. Talk about a quick failure.
Well, it's pretty hard to say anything after that, because I think he hit him very accurately. You know, from giving blessings to realizing and taking, you know, the blinders off and realizing that you can do anything you want to do, as well as failures. I mean, I don't know how many times I failed today, but I'm still counting them just today, right? Because, you know, I'm taking swings, a lot of bites at a lot of apples. You know, I failed various times. You know, listen, but I want people to realize the biggest failure that I had. You know, I failed when I started FUBU. I closed it 3 times. I closed it down 3 times from 89 to 92. I ran out of capital. There's the famous story that I mortgaged my house and I turned it into a factory, but I was 1 month away from being homeless because I didn't know how money worked, right? So thank God I got saved in a different way. But even when I made $20 million, my first $20 million, I blew it. Money worked. And that's why I'm the person I am now, because I looked around at, you know, what Pop is doing. I looked around at all the ball players who was hanging out with Cancun and all that stuff, and I realized they were broke. And the height of their ability to make money was from 17 to 25 or something like that. You know, you make all this money then, and if you don't make the money work for you because you work for the money, then all of a sudden you're in trouble. And Pops is probably going to elaborate on that way better than I do. He got a PhD.
Yeah, Pops, jump in there. Jump in there about that. So let's get them failures out the way early. Envy, I'm coming to you right after. But let's get some of the, you know, the failures, the early lessons out the way.
Oh man, the early lessons, like I didn't fail with $20 million like Daymond did, but for me,
I was saying,
no, I hear that. I'm just saying, like,
it's because when I saw that money fucked up, I was like this.
Right.
Wow.
Right,
exactly.
Hopefully, I can make another 20. If not, I'm done.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Yeah, for me, man, you know, I guess everybody on this call could say they probably wasn't born into wealth. It wasn't born into riches like some other coaches were. And so when I came into money, I can think of one story. I go to the bank to get like $75 to go get some food. And I look and it's $30,000 in there. I call my agent and I'm like, what's going on? He says, the Mavericks then gave you your advance. And I look around, I take a couple thousand out, I'll go right to the mall. You know, I was a firm believer that I wasn't going to buy the $500 jeans when I got the money. As soon as I got that money, I took a beeline straight to the mall and bought everything. I bought a car, I bought clothes and everything. And, it was just me trying to keep up. I never had it before. I didn't know anything. And it was a rude awakening for me because a lot of athletes don't experience that until later in their career. Luckily, my first check, I tricked it off. By the time it was July. And by the time November hit, all that money was gone. And I had to get an apartment, and I didn't have anything to my name. And that's when it dawned on me that I had to be better with my money, and I had to change that narrative and fix that.
Envy, last time I saw you, I think it was at like a Revolt conference, and you were shining so hard. So you having a low moment is about to just throw me off because you like you was born into it, man.
Nah, I wasn't. I'm from Queens, and I tell everybody I'm the first person in my family to go to college, first person to graduate. Word. So for me, it was like growing up in Queens, I would see all the rappers come up and see all the athletes come up. And then 4 or 5 years later, you would see them back in the hood. Like this window of when you hot, whether it's a 5-year window or 7-year window. And when you're cold and when it's over, it's over. So I always seen that, and I said, I got to make sure that never happens to me, So I always have my hands in so many different things, whether it was things in music, things outside of music, because I always wanted something to come out. So if something ever stopped, whether music was slow this month, I got these coming in from this month. And like P said, I didn't know anything about it. So for myself, it was always the knowledge. I was never afraid to ask. I was never in that room and just be quiet and just listen. You know what I mean? There's been so many times where I've been in different buildings and different situations, even with Daymond, like he doesn't even know, but my best friend in high school, Daymond was renting the apartment down low. Sanjay's mother was Daymond's like one of their first factories where they made the t-shirts. So I was there and I just would watch and listen and see how they do their orders. And I would just always listen. And then I just related that to mixtapes to say, okay, well, this is how I'm running my mixtapes. And these are all the things that I always listened and then always made happen. But it just came from just sitting back and knowledge was everything. Just listening, just sit back listening and sit back and listening. So I don't make the same mistakes that I hear that they make and try to fix it that way around.
Yeah. I feel like that's the most important thing you have to do in life. Know who you're not to know who you are. Because everybody's trying to be like somebody. If you be yourself, you could be a better you than trying to look at what somebody else got. And I think everybody is a victim of that because we all come from nothing. When you come from nothing, you want to show people that you own this is yours. But that is not the way they think. The Jews don't think like that. They don't mind putting something in a business name. Most of those guys own nothing. That's what you guys got to realize. They don't own nothing. Most of the stuff that they have is LLCs, corporations, where they control the funds. So we know how to make money. We don't know how to spend money. And everybody on this panel could look at that. The reason why we all took losses because we don't know what to do when we get the money. We think the money gonna come forever. But we can't be embarrassed. Feel it. Like I said, they done fell off the horse a lot of times. If you look at these white guys that run these companies that own their own business, they done lost millions to create billions. When we lose something, we make fun of each other or talk about each other. Or the next thing you on the front page of every gossip site because you fell off. And if you're a real hustler, you know that person is going to get up and go do what they got to do. Because the most important thing about making money is being an expert. I feel like I'm an expert at making money, losing money, getting it back. I'm like instant grits. Just add some water. I'm gonna make some money. Because Daymond know, like this is for real. As black men, even as athletes, we have no education. So the financial advisors, I know you play sports. The financial advisors steal all the money back once your career is over with. And so we're not prepared for that because we have no time while we hot. So that's why I say we don't pray for money. We pray for wisdom. We have to start educating the next generation. Financial literacy. I teach my boys economics and banking in high school, in middle school right now, because I don't want them to make the same mistakes we made.
You know, what P's saying, there's a couple of things he's saying, and a lot of it's systematic, but the reality is we don't ask others for help.
Yes.
You know, we I ask everybody else for help. And if we didn't come, none of us most likely came from generation wealth, where our grandfather, grandmother, grandparents, great-grandparents, had generational wealth to teach us the fundamentals of financial intelligence. And money's strictly a tool. If you don't know how interest works, you'll always pay it. If you know how interest works, you'll always earn it. Now, it's always, and we don't look at things like that. We won't trust the bank. We think the bank is part of the system, but yet we'll go and get paid 7% for our check to be cash, and another 7% to go, or 3% to go and do things such as, money orders and various other things. We just gave away 15% of our check.
Yeah.
Right?
Just like that. Just like that.
We just gave that away. Now let's look at high interest cards and various other things. When you put those things in long form bonds, you put that shit in Apple or Tesla. I love to put my money, and I don't care if you had $2 or $20. I love to put my money in stocks, because I want to invest. If I don't want to open a business, then I want to invest in the late great Steve Jobs, his mind. I want to invest in Elon Musk and let them work for me. So I put my money in stocks that if that stock disappears or that company disappears, it will disrupt your life. If Amazon disappears, your life will be interrupted. If Uber disappears, your life will be interrupted. That's when you do that, and you put that compounding money. And when you understand what compounding interest is, there's
right.
In 1930, he died in 1995, I think, something like that. The highest paid job he ever had was $30,000. African American. He worked for UPS. He left his family $80 million.
Sheesh.
How did he do that? Right? And that's what we're talking about. This is no real secret. It's in books and everything else. But what's being overpopulated is, be fly. You need to buy this shit. And I fell victim to that. Don't get me wrong. I did.
Right.
The paying off everything right away and hiding your money under a mattress. If you have cash, it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
If you buried $100,000 in the ground in 1970, if you took it out today, you'd barely buy a mid-class BMW or a mid-class Mercedes.
Damn.
That's in a diamond. That diamond would be worth not a Mickey Mouse crystal head of cut up bullshit.
Sheesh.
Worth $2.5 million right now, the same $100,000.
It's crazy that you saying that, when if you scroll on the gram, all you seeing is loads of cash in the bankroll and every other picture. That's crazy that you say that. We got to take a quick break, but when we come back, it has been proven that a white family has a net worth that's 10 times that of the average Black family. We're going to unpack that when we come right back. Kings with Kosine on Fox Soul.
With coronavirus still spreading, people at higher risk must take extra precautions. You're at higher risk if you are over 65, or if you have any serious underlying medical conditions, like heart disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, or if your immune system is compromised for any reason. If you're at higher risk, wash your hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds. Avoid touching your face. Disinfect frequently touched objects. And wash up after being in public spaces. And when it comes to social situations, less is better. Stay 6 feet or 2 arm lengths away from other people. Better still, stay home if you can. If you're sick, please stay home and away from others. And if you think you've been exposed to the virus, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. In challenging times, the choices you make are critical. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Welcome back. It's Kings with Kosine, and it's been proven here on Fox Soul. And it's been proven that a white family has a net worth that's 10 times that of the average Black family. At $171,000, the net worth of a typical white family is nearly 10 times greater than that of a Black family, $17,150. This is in 2016, according to the Brookings Institute. We know that this stems from slavery right into the Jim Crow laws up until today. Like today, literally today, a house can appraise for a certain amount in a Black neighborhood, and that same house will appraise for double in a white zip code. Or the appraisal can change based on the pictures in the house. Watch this. An interracial couple got an appraisal of their house, then removed all the family photos with Black people, and got another appraisal that was 40% higher. Same goddamn house. And we already know that the black people making pennies on the dollar compared to white people. Black men make 87 cents for every dollar white men make. Sheesh, Daymond, I'm gonna come right back to you. What can be done legislatively? You know what I mean? I want you to weigh in on this too, Envy, to enact laws that balance the playing field, especially with you being on the real estate side, Envy. I definitely want to hear from y'all, brothers.
This is much higher than my pay grade. There's a lot of people that understand systematic slavery and systematic oppression more than me. The bottom line starts with mass incarceration and privately owned facilities of jails. Why? Because if they're privately owned, then they get 40 to 80,000 per room. The police, what we're seeing right now, all they are is an advertising agency to stack the jails filled with people. You can have the same exact zip code, zip code, but what the police will do, they'll cut it in half. They will do more arrests in the African-American neighborhood, but they'll call it as collars for this area. You know, the country's been proven that more white people, because more white people exist, more white people sell drugs than African-Americans, but the jail is probably about 70% or 60% African-Americans, some number like that. Once you African-Americans, what happens when they become a felon? Because I know somebody who sold probably about, $1,000 worth of weed, got 10 years in jail, where that was a slap on the wrist for somebody else. So no two felons are alike. But when you look at systematic racism, that person now comes out of jail. They can't get a job because they got to scratch the felon box on when they get an interview. When they go to the bank, they may not get a loan because they got to scratch a felon box. And they can't be a jury of their peers because they got to scratch a felon box, right? So you look at systematic racism, and systematic racism happens for various different ways. I don't even know why us 5 black men are still here, because we should be in a museum and somebody saying those were people of color and they should be here. So it's way over my pay grade, but can you do things? Yes. There's a list on sites that show all the things that people can do, corporations can do to not support mass incarceration, not support brands to do this, but you got to start talking now. I mean, that's what happened in the 60s, where, also gave us the honor to be here today. And you got to figure it out. But you know what you got to do first? You got to investigate where it's coming from and how to stop it, and not just run around and shout and say, yo, stop it. You got to understand, and you got to also be part of the solution. I was once a young brother who ran around ignorantly, not knowing any better. So I used the N, but I said all kind of shit like that I shouldn't have said. And, we got to look within ourselves first.
Envy.
Anybody else.
Yeah,
Envy, you on the Breakfast Club, you preaching that real estate, bro. And I appreciate you for going so hard on that, and then also talking to political leaders as well. Is there anything from a law standpoint?
You can report it, but I've been called the cops on me when I went to go look at properties. When I went to purchase properties, they've been asking to open up my bank account to see how much money I make. They've been doing so many different things when they see the complexion of my face all the time. And right now with Google, what the first thing they do is when they see your name is they Google to see who you are. So it happens all the time. But like what luckily, and I'm grateful and I'm able to do now, is I do what all these other communities do, right? What do these other communities do? Which is foul. They hold shit for themselves. Oh, when they look, they make sure they take care of their own. And now I do the same. When I'm selling my house, like actually, if you look behind me, there's boxes, I'm selling my house. So when people came and look at my house, I could decide who I want to sell my house to. Now, when I see a couple that looks like me, that has 4 kids, that's from the hood, that just got a great business, and I can sell them my home. And not only do I sell them my home, I take care of them. I make sure that they're good. I make sure, hey, you got the cable boxes in here and the mattresses here. So when y'all come in, it makes life easier for you. I'm going to tell you where you take your kids and you look for your own, because all these other communities do it. A lot of the times we don't do it as a community. We don't like to teach each other. We don't like to help each other. We don't like to tell each other how to get around things. And that's what we have to stop. Because once we start looking out for our own, it doesn't matter if you call the cops on me from looking at the crib, because no, I sold that crib to him. That's his crib. But that's what we have to do. We have to start looking out for our own. We have to start making sure we take care of our own, because nobody's going to take care of us. Nobody's going to teach us. And that's why, you was talking about me teaching people how to do real estate, is because my parents didn't know. I wasn't fortunate enough. Like our president was like, yeah, I got $1 million loan from my dad, but I want to be able to do that for my kids. If my kids have money, I want to be able to say, okay, here's $1 million loan. But how do we get there? We got to teach our kids early. We got to teach our kids what makes sense, not to be worker bees. Yeah, there's some workers out there, and there's some worker bees, and I explain this all the time. If my son wants to be a garbage man, that's cool. But I'm gonna teach him how to make it a business and own a bunch of garbage trucks on a sanitation lot. You know what I mean? Same thing with my daughter. My daughter, she was talking about school and what she wants to go to school for. And I forced her towards real estate. Why? Because I want to learn everything about it, the ins, the outs, how to do this, how to do that. But that's what we got to continue to teach our kids and make sure we take care of our community. And that's why when I see a rapper making well, I call them and say, yo, let me teach you how to do this. You've been renting that apartment for 5 years, overpricing. You know, if you could have bought a crib by then. And that's my whole life, trying to teach them and try to tell them how to use their money without using their money, using their equity.
Right.
Putting as little as much down and using the rest of that to invest in. Have them investments pay for your property. Have those investments pay for that Mickey Mouse chain we was talking about earlier. Have those investments pay for those cars. Have those investments pay for all those things, you know? And that's what I really try to do.
Real talk, real talk. Pops, I'm gonna swing over to you because we are consumers, bruh. Like, even right now, I'm looking at the drip on me right now. Like, what could we do to calm down? We talking our prep call, man. You mentioned Zara, and you had a cool story about, you know, turning down and relaxing on the fashion, because I think I want to attribute to the fact that we are kings and we are pharaohs, so we like to be fly and so forth and so on. But just calming down as consumers and not, you know, trying to be the #1 stunner all the time. Talk to us about that, Pops.
I mean, you have to tip your hat to guys like Daymond who made affordable clothing that was for us, by us. You know, and that's not even a plug, it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I remember I had that when I was younger. And like I said earlier, I was a firm believer I wasn't going to spend the $500 on those jeans. But as soon as I got the money, I did it. And it's all about keeping up with the Joneses. We didn't have that when we were born. Like you said, Donald Trump got $1 million loan from his dad. We didn't have that knowledge, that parents didn't understand. So it's all about changing that narrative. And for me, you know, look, I got a perfect example, and I'm sure Damon can attest to this. When I was in Dallas my rookie year, I remember pulling up to the airport, and Mark Cuban, who was the owner of our team, he pulled up in a 2-door Acura. This guy was a billionaire at the time. And everybody else on the team has got their S550s, their Bentleys, this and that. Don't get me wrong.
Shark Tank set in an old ass jalopy still.
What?
Still, right. Old ass Lexus. Yep. Sure.
What is that? What is that? Like, so he really don't care.
Don't care, but he laughs to the bank on the 1st and the 15th every month. I can guarantee you that, you know. And for me, I saw that and I was like, it just shifted my mindset. And again, the story, like I told you yesterday, I was sitting there with a teammate. I had a hoodie on, he had one on, and a girl walks by and she said she likes my hoodie. Turns out his hoodie was Louis Vuitton, mine was Zara. And that's when I realized, like, the labels and stuff doesn't mean that much. It's just all about how you wear it and whatnot. So, you know, for me, I get why everybody wants to look fly and invest it, because we don't have it coming up. We struggled. I didn't have the Nikes and the Jordan. I didn't get my first pair of Jordans until I was 20 years old. And so, you know, we really have to change that narrative again and be smart about what we do with our money. I think, you know, one of the biggest things for me was my girl at the time. She was a godsend. Shout out to Black women. She taught me how to live off 30% of my income. And, you know, once I started 30% of my income, yes.
Hey, hold on. Hey, don't skip past that, brother, because brothers is out here with 5 chicks. They got a whole roster. They paying for dates, going broke and right when they really need one queen that can save them some money and show them how. Hey, I heard that, church.
Yeah, she definitely.
The key to what 30% of your income. So if you understand, your credit rating goes down once you spend more than 30% of your allowed credit as well. So 30%, they believe that if you only spending 30% of your income, you have enough to last over 6 months or a year in the case of some shit like this we're going through. So the 30% is key, because they know that at least 30% of your income you're spending over this, the other 30 you're at least putting away, and you can fuck off another 30 by mistake. You know what I mean? But that 30 that you're putting away is going to be compounding in interest and various other things. That is the world, and that is just purely analytics that they do on, you know, how you spend. And those are your spending habits that they look in when they look into your, you know, all your oil credit ratings and other things. So and you know what? I only learned that fucking 6 years ago. She's brilliant. The 30.
Right.
And you know, that's when I knew she was somebody that I needed in my life, because teaching me that at a young age, and you know, my lifestyle as an NBA player and now my lifestyle when I'm retired was not that much different. So when people see me, it's like, oh, he's still living the same way he did when he was bringing in that kind of money. But it was like, no, I wasn't living beyond my means. And now that I'm retired, I'm comfortable in the salary that I'm getting. I'm not making the NBA money anymore, but I'm making a decent salary. But again, it's comfortable for me, and it's not something that I needed to drastically change my lifestyle. So that was something that I always preach to players that we help now, and let them know that you got to be comfortable living within your means or even below your means. Because a coach told me when I was younger, do you want to be rich now or do you want to be rich when you're 50? And I have to give a shout out to, go ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go get your shout out in real quick and then we run the break.
I just have to give a shout out to all the guys on this call, man, because it's powerful. You know, when we were coming up, you know, Master P, what he was doing, it was unheard of. It was unheard of being that entrepreneurial in the music business, and what Daymond did as football was entrepreneurial, and then what Envy's doing in allowing his testimony to be his test to let these young rappers know, look, invest in real estate, you know, use your money for this. That's what this is all about. Allowing our test to be your testimony, allowing our experience and the mistakes we made to teach you not to do that. So it's big, and I appreciate everybody on the call for this.
There it is. We're running a break real quick. More with the Kings and Kosine when we come back right here on Fox Soul.
There. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Can I tell you another one? So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it. What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. What is a boxer's favorite drink? Fruit punch.
Welcome back to Kings with Kosine. And when I first made my own money, I was only focused on my music, not my business. So I've had smashes that on the back end paid out crumbs. For example, Big Sean, Dance Ass, the sample took half of that, man. MC Hammer, you ain't have to do me like that, man. You ain't have to do me like that. Rihanna's Birthday Cake went from an interlude on her album to a remix with Chris Brown that to this day is still not available on DSPs and has never been sold. So I remember one day asking the Dream, how much money didn't we make off a record that went #1 that we couldn't sell? And he was like, oh man, you know, nothing crazy, like 3 or 4 million. 3 or 4 million? Rich talk, man. And lastly, Anaconda had a sample, a co-producer who had a ghost producer. And of course, I had to split what was left with my partner too. So after going through all that, I wouldn't ever think about selling my publishing. But for people in the industry, one of the biggest stories right now is No ID selling his catalog. His publishing, 273 songs with everybody from Jay-Z, Drake, Kanye. For me, when I think about the long-term effect of selling my intellectual property, I don't think that would be the path for me. You know what I mean? I don't even think that my publishing belongs to me. It belongs to my children. This morning, Joe Budden went off on Charlemagne on the topic of ownership. Do we have that clip?
The Master P's, the Kanye's, all of the people that had to change status quo to come back and show us how to do it. But they have to speak in codes just like they fucking had to do in the slave days.
Master P, you have been a genius with your music empire. Tell me what you think about IP, intellectual property, in light of no IDs, recent sale of the catalog. How should we best manage our IP? And how would you start No Limit if you had to do it today, given that we can't even go on tour right now?
Yeah, well, I think people have to realize being an entrepreneur is not for everybody.
Right.
Everybody is not willing to do so. I can understand. Everybody is different. If you don't have the same drive me and Dame have, this is not for you, because everybody is not going to get up and make sure everybody get paid and then they go with nothing. Like, there's a lot of times that I went with nothing. So I understand some of these guys, if you really, is that not for you, you're gonna, and I think our problem is everybody keep talking 400 years, you know, slavery ago, but we got to get off of that. That was 400 years ago. That's why we behind. How do we change that? With success, because they already 400 years past us and we keep going back to that. So my thing is, ownership is important, but you got to realize, and Dame could tell you this too, that we have a lot of business that we have that the end goal is to sell it. And just like all these other big companies, the end goal is to build business up and to sell it. How do you get off it? Some people want to keep their business forever. Is that smart? It all depends what type of businessman you are. Like for me, if I could take something and control the marketing of it, I don't mind selling it, because then I still control the narrative. My friends, you can't count my pockets by the friends I have and the money that we have, because if you could count it, you really don't have it. How you look at where we are is the checks that we could write and give back, because that's the difference. So if you know you're not at that level, you're still working, you're still trying to get there. And I think that this is not for everybody. I mean, if I had to do the music business right now, I would focus on the marketing side of this, to where if I could build this on my own, then I could make billions. I made millions, hundreds of millions. But right now, if you get a real hit record and you own it, imagine the money that you can make, the communities that you can change. Because a lot of the artists now with these 360 deals, they're getting pennies on the dollar.
Right.
With the music they putting out, because nobody has the patience to say, I'm already big. Most artists get signed. I mean, look at what the guy that made the song from New York, to where this song was so big, the Panda record went so big.
Oh, Designer.
Designer was already big when that record was blowing up. He went and got that record from somebody online. So think about it. If you take something like that, I don't care what record it is that you know that's going to go international. If you could hold on to that, you need to hold on as long as you can, because once you sign that deal, you have no more control. And that's what people don't realize. You're only signing a deal for the upfront money. And when you get the upfront money, all you're doing is paying bills. And that's why you guys talked about earlier. They'll put you in the house, give you the car you want, and then when it go cold, nobody talk to you no more. Then you go back to the hood.
So let me ask you this, right? I'm in the hood right now. I got the hood going crazy. You know, I'm a local superstar. Everybody knows that I'm next to blow. If I want to take my career to the next level, what terms specifically, what should a deal even look like? What should I be asking for? I just had somebody tell me, yo, Coach, you know, joint venture time, bro. You got hits. You got people that I know some of the homies that don't even produce.
Let me tell you this. Why not ask for nothing? Why not ask for nothing? I did that in the 90s. When I signed a distribution deal, I asked for nothing. That was the only way I was able to do it. And dang, know if somebody see that you willing to invest some skin into your own self, invest in yourself, imagine you could get whatever deal you want. But we already come with looking for the check in the bag. And that's gonna lose that.
I got 3 guys on here who well versed in music, and maybe Pop, you and I'll learn together. Because ID, you know, I'll be very honest, I don't really know who he is, whatever the case is. But if you're saying that he sold all his stuff to a publishing house, they probably caught him early. But right now, because what P is saying, I'll mess with people who got distribution. If ID would have said, yo, I don't want no check in advance, but I know because you're a publishing company, you're working the angles on selling my shit to Burger King and all these kind of commercials, whatever. I don't want 0, but I want a 70-30 split, 70 my side, 30 split. You go and shop and be my whore. Go out there and sell my shit.
Church.
Hell, you ain't got to worry about the money you got to recoup because
it's nothing to recoup.
It's nothing to recoup. All of it's cream.
Yes.
Understand? You need distribution outlets. You see what I'm saying? Like in product categories.
Yeah.
And you could have made much more. That's exactly what I did with Samsung. They offered me a lot of money. I was like, no, I want you to split this, and I want you to finance everything. I'm going to do the marketing and the branding. You're going to manufacture it, and then I'm going to pay you for that aspect, and I get the rest. And that's why I got one of the biggest deals that's ever been made in the fashion business because of that.
Wow. So think about it, right? These companies don't need money. They don't need nothing. They want you. They want the talent. And I tell people all the time, product outweighs talent. So like Dame said, once you get something big, then now you can invest that into product, other things that you want. But if you just go for the check, I'm the first guy to turn down $1 million from Jimmy Iovine, which everybody else in the 90s wanted a deal. And I only had $500 in my pocket at the time. I think as African Americans, we just want the check. We want to say we got this $1 million check and you're going back to the hood. So now you're being controlled on that way. You've been controlled all the way your career. They're going to tell you when you can put your music out, what you can't do, all these different things. But imagine if you kept the control. That's what Daymond just telling you. If you went in there wanting nothing and they still want you and they're going to put you through all their distribution system, because even for us with product, it's all about getting shelving space. It's all about getting our stuff into the marketplace. If they ain't got to give you no big check, they don't mind saying, okay, I'll give you 70% of this and we'll take 30. And if you can wait for your money, but we can't wait for our money.
Fuck that advance. Yeah, my takeaway from this is fuck that advance.
See?
Fuck that advance.
But think about it. As people that look like us, we want to come back to the hood and shine right quick. So that's where we losing the control, because we want to go buy the diamonds, the jewels, and fake it till we make it. We don't need to do that, because if you have your business straight, it's like a basketball player. You need to know your business, learn your business, or they're going to play you the whole while you in the game. And so music, to be honest with you, once you get a hot record, they'll do anything for you until they sign you. So my thing is knowing your power. You could ask for whatever you want until you sign them papers. Once you sign them papers, it's over with.
Do I tell you a story?
Yeah.
Yeah, jump in.
I hate to say it.
And then Envy, I want you to jump in too. But
I had to do in reverse. Right around 2002, football was white hot. I asked one or two rappers, I said, listen, because I was always sponsoring the videos. They need the extra $20,000 for the extra girls and cars, whatever cases. I was like, I got $20,000 every video you're going to do just to give you extra. They were like, nah, I don't want that, because they felt that it was going to go right to the girls and cars. That's what they wanted. The director wanted. I said, no problem. 3 separate rappers, I said to all of them, listen, for the next year, you're going to have a Bentley to drive in New York whenever you got here. I rented one Bentley. It cost me $5,000 a month, a total of $60,000. And I got $400,000 worth of placements of what I would have gotten just by having that Bentley rented for them to drive around when they got to New York. And they were the ones who said, yo, just give me a call. That's how fucked up it was.
Damn.
And then get mad at you in the end. So look, let me tell y'all something. Product do not talk back. That's why I got in the product business. I got the rights right here. Don't talk back. I don't need to be worried about what I can't do for an artist when I could go make more money selling product and don't have the headaches, because everybody don't have the patience to be.
The rights don't talk back. You just killed me with that.
No, product don't talk back.
The rights don't talk back.
I'm in a product business. I'm out of the talent business where I have to manage talent.
Right.
To me, when you selling product, you don't have to deal with all the negative stuff that you normally would have to deal with, because a lot of the artists are uneducated. Like Dame say, when you're trying to help them and show them something, they don't even want to hear that. They just want to know what I want.
Bag on the side, Pookie, you need the brown bag on the side for him to sling cereal. You don't got that in your world?
Yeah.
All right.
And all we do is promote other people's product, and we don't have none of our own.
Powerful. Look, we got to run the break, man. Jim, the rights don't talk back. Fuck the advance. I'm eating right now. We'll be right back with more.
I'm drinking Jizz Hoop water. We ain't drinking water.
Hold on, turn to the side so we can see that front.
That Jizz
There
Hoop.
it is.
This the water that cares, that gives back.
There it is. We'll be right back with more Kings of Kosine. Fox Soul.
I like sunshine. George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd. Say his name.
Say their names. Once again and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter. Go to blacklivesmatter.com.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
Welcome back to Kings with Kosine right here on Fox Soul. I've been hearing some rumblings about susus or gifting circles for a minute now. And some cultures, especially some Caribbean and African ones, susus has been used for decades as a means to an end. When banks refused to make loans to Black people, they figured out a way to pool their money and rotate the pot each month so that they could make larger purchases. Recently, these susus have popped back up in communities around the country, and they're catching a bad rap as being money pyramids. The Federal Trade Commission is calling them scams, stating that there's nothing they can do to help people get their money back. Envy, what you think? Have you heard of the susus, man? Is it something we supposed to run from? Like, what's going on out here?
Especially during COVID, man. I've been hearing a lot of susus. Actually, somebody called me today and was like, give them $1,400, they give me $11,000. And they'll give me two. So it is something that people have been doing. I know some of them is scams, but I remember as a kid, my mom used it to pay for vacations. That's how I went on vacation. My mom would have to put something out her check, and she planned in a certain amount of time. She got her check, and that's how we went to vacation. You know what I mean? That's how my mom put down money for when I went to college. She helped me pay for college because of those susus, So, but I do know it does help. And like you said, a lot of times we weren't able to get loans. So that was our loan. That was the way we got a lot of things accomplished and done. Nowadays, some of the stuff that I'm hearing, you pay this money, you got to get two people to connect. Yeah, it's a little bit of a scam going on. But back then, yeah, absolutely right. That's how my mom got me to go to a lot of places that I get with those damn susus.
Yeah, Pops, I want to jump to you because you're Ghanaian, am I saying that right? Ghanaian.
Yes, sir.
By way of London. So let me ask you, when banks won't make loans to us, or when we're overlooked by the SBA for those PPP loans, what can we do to help ourselves? Is it the susu or something else? What we got out here?
Yeah, man, I get it though. I like Envy said, like there's good and the bad. I've seen some gifting circles where there's 15 people in it of a trusted cohort, a group of people who you can really trust, where that money comes back and that investment comes back to you. And I've seen some with 600 people in it, and you don't know anybody in there, and then you get scammed. And if you look at other cultures, there was a time where they would all invest in each other. They would all invest in each other. Somebody would go out, get their business, and reinvest into the gifting circle. And I think it's entrepreneurial and great what they're trying to do now. You just have to find the right one. I think back then when they wasn't giving us loans, and there was it was a mandate that said don't give loans to Black people. So you can't get a loan for your house, you can't get a loan for your business. So you have to go above and beyond just to try and keep up, and that's always been the struggle. And like P said, we can't keep holding on to what happened 400 years ago, and that's why this is so powerful. Is that we have to continue to change the narrative. We got to change the narrative and get to the point. I look up MLK. It was all good when he was saying nonviolent, and we're going to get together. As soon as he started talking about economic empowerment, as soon as he started talking about pooling our resources and our money, look what happened. They don't want that for us. We got to change that. And that's why this is so important, that we empower us as a people economically and change that narrative for our younger kids so that they don't have to go through what we did. Like Envy said, these kids are gonna be born into wealth, unlike we did. So that's what it's about, is changing the narrative.
So for me, what I think, it need to be thousands of us, hundreds of thousands. It can't be just one person with money. That's how they could stop us. It was only one Martin Luther King, like he said, so they was able to stop them. So the more millionaires we create, the more billionaires we create, the better off we're gonna be. Because even if you look at, they send us to college, but if you look at all the CEOs in the top 5 Fortune 500 companies, it's only 0.5% of African Americans. So we have to change that narrative. If we don't change that narrative, we're gonna always be set up for these scams and quick fixes to get some money. We also have to change to where we're creating African-American banks, African-American leaders when we out here voting, because we go into these polls, but we're not putting people that look like us in position to help us change that narrative. So that's why we are crying, and that's why we get caught up by these scams. But I'm gonna tell you something, if you don't work, you don't eat. Anything that sounds easy is a scam, because nobody want to give you free money. Let's be honest. And we was talking about it earlier, the Just Hoop Water. The difference about this, everyone we make, everyone we give. So, and it's about helping inner city kids find a safe haven. I'm doing this with Chris Johnson. He's probably one of the top trainers in professional basketball. He trained LeBron James. He trained Rondo, so many other great athletes. But my thing is, how come we all drink water, even as pro athletes, but we don't have nothing that represent us, and we all hoopers. And my thing is, get the kids off the street so the gangs won't get them, and Just Hoop is about getting them into the gym. So
I heard that.
Yeah, and I think the way we change the narrative, like Pop said, we have to teach the next generation, the ones that want to learn, because everybody don't want to learn. Everybody got their own thing. And like Dame said, once they get a little money, you can't tell them nothing. You can look at every NBA, NFL player. The reason why you come back to the ghetto, because you didn't listen to somebody that been through it before. So we have to change that narrative. We got to teach the ones that want to learn. We can't teach the ones that they're going to have to learn from their own experience. But the ones that want to learn, I think all of our doors are open. I mean, look what Andy said. He want to help these rappers in the real estate, but you got to realize a lot of these guys, they don't respect and value your time. So imagine if I could teach somebody how to make $10 million and they didn't have no money at first. What am I worth? So since they say, oh, well, you rich, you don't deserve nothing, but you're going to give a financial advisor or agent or whatever, something of that, if they help you make that type of money. How come if me and Dame do that for you, you don't think we worthy of our time or our expertise?
Right. That's crazy. Dame, I'm we
I want to say
jump in.
What we got to start doing too is we got to start figuring out what we're doing. So when Christmas comes around, birthdays, and Valentine's. So tomorrow's my birthday, right? And my wife.
Oh, happy birthday, brother.
Bought me a water company. So I'm with you, P. I got my own.
Hey,
I need a case.
Turn to the side a little bit. Turn to the side.
I need a case too.
But that's what we have to start doing. It's like, instead of buying things, we need to, like what you said, what is a Gucci belt? What is a pair of Jordans? What is a $1,000 pair of jeans? My biggest investment and my biggest come up was a property that I bought in Detroit. I paid $5,000 for this property, right? It was all beat up, all nasty. We pretty much bought the whole block. Me and Angela pretty much bought the whole block. For 3 years, all we did was cut the grass and pay the taxes. $5,000 to $10,000 for each property. When they built Detroit up, that property we sold for $380,000 or for $5,000. Now you think about it, some kids out there, some women out there, they would prefer what? A Chanel bag that's $3,000 to $5,000. That Chanel bag is worth $100 right now, but that property is worth $380,000. That's what we have to start thinking and making sure that when we buy stuff for our kids, we make sure it's something. Buy them, like you said, buy some stock in Tesla for Christmas. Yeah, you can still buy them toys, but buy some stock in Apple. Buy some stock in this, that, and the other. Make sure that we're able to control that. I buy my kids a lot of stuff, but I make sure I buy them things that matter. so that when they get to my age or they get to the age when they graduate school, they have something.
That's heavy. That's heavy.
My kids have their own crib in Detroit, not in their name, rented out. But when they graduate, that's their first investment. Here's your first property, just so they know the door. And those properties,
I think also, Envy, like you said, what about before you buy something, you make an investment so you could get that for free?
Absolutely.
So that's how they teach their kids. We don't teach our kids. They're like, okay, you about to go to college? Let's do something that we could make that $120,000. And then you could buy whatever you want after that. And I think, they are passing stuff down to their descendants. We are still trying to figure out how to get something. So that's where we have to change the narrative to build a generational wealth. And it comes with educating the next generation. And a lot of people, they have no time. They don't want to read. And I tell pro athletes, I'm like, man, if you take 20 minutes out of 1 week and figure out economics and banking, how far you think you're going to be by the time you get done with the league?
Out of here. Out of here.
Think about it.
Out of here. Yeah, that's crazy.
They go,
fellas, we running out of time right now.
I had one guy say, look, man, let's go do something positive to help in the community. Oh, man, I can't do that. I'm not into that. But then he come back to me. It was like 10 G's, I'm saying. Come back with me. Oh, Pete, let's go take this vacation. I say, how much the vacation going to be? He said, $100,000. I said, man, I just asked you to help these kids in the community for $10,000, but you ain't had it. But now you want me to spend $100,000 with you to take a vacation. Like you're not on the same page. And I'm done with wasting time with people like that. And put your energy and time to something that's positive. And sometimes you got to cut people off. I don't care.
We running out of time, PP. We running out of time.
Man. Cut them off if they ain't on your level.
I overstand. So let's just do a quick lightning round real quick, man. We got about a minute left. I'm going to start with you, Daymond. Just closing thoughts. Thank you so much for being here. Closing comments real quick. Lightning round.
Educate yourself. Understand you got a lot of people to look up to that we didn't have to look up to because of social media and technology. I love what Envy said. If you buy Shopify right now for your kids, if you bought $1,000 worth of Shopify stock right now by Christmas, the way it went, it would be worth $5,000 after 2 or 3 years. You show them what they would have bought, what they would have had in jeans and what they had in stock. And it's simple examples like what Envy said. And of course, what P said, you got to show them how you do it instead of just yelling at them, talking to them, and go look for a mentor out there. Don't ask a mentor to do everything for you. Look for what you could do for the mentor. In return, they will do for you. Don't be like, yo, help me out, brother and sister. Don't do that shit. Be like, what can I do for you mentor me?
There it is. Pops, real quick.
Man, for me, first and foremost, allow our testimony to be your test. Everybody on here has made mistakes. We've had failures. So allow the mistakes that we made to be your mistakes, and then don't make the same ones that we made. Also, it's about knowledge and learning. For me, once I invested into learning the stock markets and these companies, that's when I started making money on my investments. And having that knowledge, like P said, is power. And that's what they don't want us to have. Athletes, Black people as a general, they don't want us to have that power. So once you get that knowledge, that's when you're going to build that generational wealth. So that's it for me.
P, and then Envy close us out. P.
You know what? No idea is a whack idea. Get you some product. I got the rice.
Yep.
I got the shoes.
Church.
When people didn't believe, I get better with time. Trust the process. You get better with time. Put your trust and faith in God. And if they could do it, we could do it.
Envy.
Diversify. Put your hands in everything. I got a juice bar, real estate, the Breakfast Club, water, Top Pop, which is a soda, podcast, car show, all that. Diversify. And I'm just telling everybody out there, you're home right now. You're stuck. You're not going out. You got a closet full of sneakers. Take those sneakers, put them on GOAT or StockX, get the money and invest it. You're not doing nothing at home. You're going to be stuck at home. Nobody going to see them J's. Nobody going to see them Air Force Ones. Nobody going to see none of that. Take them, put them on GOAT, get your money, and throw it in the stock. It's money you didn't see anyway. And I guarantee those 1 Jordans will be able to turn into 10 Jordans. So like I said.
Powerful. Envy, I want to thank you specifically because my son's birthday is tomorrow as well. And you just gave me, boy, so he getting Shopify for his birthday tomorrow. Thank you so much. I was trying to figure out what to do. There we go. Shopify. This has been Kings with Kosine. Our goal today is to simply help us all make better choices that will aid us in securing the bag. If you got it together, cool. If not, here's a brand new start. Until next time, I'm wishing you prosperity. Stay tuned for the Mike and Donnie show right here on Fox Soul in a minute.